I, 32M, think my wife, 30F, has been lying to me for months, and I'm starting to connect some really messed up dots. So yeah, I never thought I'd be the guy posting here, but here we are. We've been married for 4 years, together for 7. Up until recently, I would have told you we were, not perfect, but solid. Like, we had our fights, mostly about small stuff, but nothing that felt like it could actually break us. She's always been kind of sharp-tongued, though. Like, if she's in a bad mood, she will say something that cuts deep and then act like you're overreacting. I got used to brushing that off. Looking back now, I think that's where it started, the little lies. Not even big ones. Just, weird, unnecessary stuff. Saying she was at work when she clearly wasn't. Telling me she'd already eaten when I knew she hadn't. Stuff that didn't make sense but also didn't feel worth fighting over. About 3 months ago, things shifted. She got more distant. Started guarding her phone like it had state secrets on it. If I walked into the room, she'd angle the screen away or just lock it immediately. When I asked about it, she snapped at me, said I was being paranoid and controlling. And maybe I was, a little. I didn't want to be that guy. But then the late nights started. At first, it was work stuff. Then it was a friend going through something. The stories kept changing. And every time I tried to get clarity, she'd either shut me down or flip it back on me, like somehow I was the problem for even asking. I remember one night specifically. She came home around 1 a.m., smelling like perfume that wasn't hers. When I pointed it out, she laughed, actually laughed, and said I was imagining things. That I was getting weird lately. That stuck with me. Because I wasn't imagining it. And that's when I started paying closer attention. So after that night, I stopped brushing things off. I didn't confront her right away. Honestly, I think part of me was scared of what I'd find if I pushed too hard. It's weird how your brain works, you start collecting little pieces of something you don't even want to solve. But once I started paying attention, it was like everything got louder. She began stepping out to take calls. Like, not even trying to be subtle. Phone buzzes, she immediately gets up, walks into another room, closes the door. If I came near, she'd either hang up or switch to something casual like, yeah, I'll send that email tomorrow, in this overly fake tone. Her schedule stopped making sense too. She'd say she had work meetings, but then I'd see her active on social media at random times that didn't line up. Once, she told me she was stuck late at the office, but one of her coworkers posted a group photo from a bar that same night, and she wasn't in it. When I asked her about that, she didn't even hesitate. Just rolled her eyes and said, I left early, obviously. Not everything revolves around you needing proof. That's her thing, by the way. Confidence. Even when it doesn't add up. She says things like they're facts, and if you question it, suddenly you're the crazy one. I started second-guessing myself a lot. But then there were the smaller things. The kind you can't really explain away. She changed her phone password. Started showering the second she got home, no matter the time. Bought new clothes, like, noticeably different style. And this one messed with me the most, she stopped being affectionate. Not gradually. Just, gone. No random hugs. No sitting close on the couch. Even when I tried, she'd pull away or say she was tired. I remember lying in bed one night, staring at the ceiling while she scrolled on her phone with the brightness turned way down. I asked her, straight up, are we okay? She didn't even look at me. Just said, yeah. You're overthinking again. That should have reassured me, right? It didn't. Because it felt rehearsed. Like she'd already decided what the answer would be before I even asked. And that's when the idea really settled in my head, that something wasn't just off. It was being hidden. I didn't go full detective mode right away. At first, I told myself I just needed one clear sign. Something undeniable. Not vibes, not gut feelings, actual proof. Because right now, everything could still be explained away if I tried hard enough. But then something small happened that flipped a switch. She left her phone in the kitchen. That never happens anymore. She was in the shower, and I was just standing there staring at it like it was going to explode. My heart was already racing, which made me feel guilty as hell, like I was about to cross a line I couldn't uncross. And yeah, I still did it. I picked it up. First thing I noticed, new passcode. Not the one she'd used for years. I tried the old one anyway, didn't work. Tried her birthday. Nothing. I was about to put it down when a notification lit up the screen. No name. Just a number. And the preview said, "Miss you already. Last night was." That's it. Cut off. I swear my stomach just dropped. Like physically dropped. It felt stupidly dramatic, but I actually had to sit down. I didn't even need to see the rest of the message. My brain filled in the blanks whether I wanted it to or not. I put the phone back exactly where it was and just stood there, trying to breathe normally before she came out. When she walked back in, towel around her hair, she acted completely normal. Asked me if I'd eaten. Complained about work. Same tone, same attitude. And I just watched her. Thinking, how are you this calm? That night, I barely slept. Every time she moved, I woke up. At one point, I saw her pick up her phone at like 2:30 a.m. and quietly leave the bedroom. I followed. Not immediately, I gave it a minute so it wouldn't be obvious. She was in the living room, whispering. Actually whispering. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught pieces. "No, he doesn't know. I told you, stop texting like that. I'll figure it out." My chest felt tight. Like I wasn't even in my own house anymore. I stepped back before she could see me and went to the bathroom, turned the tap on just so it sounded like that's where I'd been. When she came back to bed, she curled up like nothing happened. And I just lay there, staring into the dark, realizing something I really didn't want to admit. This wasn't just suspicion anymore. Something real was happening. And I was already in deeper than I thought. The next day, I couldn't focus on anything. Work felt pointless. Conversations felt fake. It was like I was walking around with this massive secret sitting in my chest, and everyone else was just normal. Meanwhile, I'm replaying that message over and over in my head, "Miss you already. Last night was." I kept trying to come up with some innocent explanation, which sounds ridiculous even as I type it. But that's what your brain does when it's not ready to accept something. By the time I got home, I had already decided one thing: I needed more than just a half message and a late-night whisper call. If I was going to confront her, I needed something she couldn't just twist around or deny. Because that's her move. Always has been. That evening, she said she had to run out for a bit. No details. No explanation. Just grabbed her bag and left. Old me would have let it go. I didn't. I waited maybe 30 seconds, grabbed my keys, and followed her. I felt insane doing it. Like actually insane. My hands were shaking when I started the car. I kept thinking, if she notices, this is over in a completely different way. But she didn't. She drove across town and parked near this small cafe I'd never even heard her mention before. Not exactly romantic, not sketchy either, just random. I parked further down and watched. A few minutes later, a guy walked up. I couldn't see his face clearly at first, just the way he moved, like he already knew her. No hesitation. No awkwardness. And then she smiled. I hadn't seen that smile in months. Not at me, anyway. They hugged. Not a quick, polite hug. The kind where you linger. Where your body language says more than you'd ever admit out loud. And then they went inside together. I sat there in my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard my fingers hurt. Part of me wanted to storm in right then and there. 'Cause a scene ended on the spot. But I didn't. Instead, I did something I'm not proud of. I waited. About 40 minutes. Every second felt longer than the last. I kept imagining what was happening inside, and every version of it made me feel worse. When they finally came back out, it got even harder to ignore. She touched his arm while they were talking. He leaned in close. At one point, he brushed her hair back behind her ear like it was the most natural thing in the world. And she didn't pull away. Then, before they split, he kissed her. Not on the cheek. Not something you could explain away. A real kiss. That was it. That was the moment everything stopped being maybe. I didn't follow her home this time. I just sat there, staring ahead, trying to process how my life had just split into a before and an after in under an hour. And the worst part? I still had to go home and act like I didn't know. The drive home felt unreal. I kept replaying that kiss in my head like my brain was stuck on a loop I couldn't shut off. Every little detail, how comfortable they looked, how natural it was. There was no hesitation. No guilt. Just routine. That's what messed me up the most. This wasn't new for them. By the time I got home, I had two choices: confront her immediately or pretend I knew nothing and buy myself time. I chose the second one. Not because I'm strong or strategic, honestly, I just wasn't ready to hear her say it out loud. She got back about 20 minutes after me. Walked in, dropped her keys, sighed like she'd had a long day. Same performance as always. "Hey," she said, like nothing had happened. "Hey," I answered, trying to sound normal. I don't know if I pulled it off. She went straight into the kitchen, grabbed a drink, started talking about something at work. I don't even remember what. I was just watching her, thinking, you were just kissing someone else. At one point, she caught me staring. "What?" she snapped. That tone again. Sharp. Defensive. Like I was the problem. "Nothing," I said. She rolled her eyes. "You've been weird lately." That almost made me laugh. Not in a funny way, more like the kind of laugh you do when something is so messed up you don't know how else to react. Later that night, she took her phone into the bathroom with her. Locked door. Running water. I sat on the couch, staring at the wall, putting pieces together. The late nights. The lies. The distance. The message. The call. The cafe. It all lined up too perfectly. And then this thought hit me out of nowhere. How long has this been going on? Not if. Not why. How long? Because whatever I saw today, it wasn't the beginning. It was just the first time I caught it. I didn't sleep at all that night. Around 4 a.m., I got up, went into the living room, and just sat there in the dark. No TV, no phone. Just silence. I kept thinking about confronting her the next day. What I'd say. How she'd react. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized something that honestly scared me more than the cheating itself. I had no idea what was true anymore. Not her words. Not her explanations. Not even our past. It all suddenly felt questionable. And I didn't know where to even start pulling the thread. The next morning felt like walking into an exam I hadn't studied for but couldn't avoid. She was already up when I came into the kitchen. Coffee made. Dressed for work. Acting completely normal again, like the night before didn't exist. "Morning," she said. "Yeah," I replied. There was this weird silence between us. Not loud, not obvious, but heavy. At least for me. I watched her move around the kitchen, scrolling on her phone between sips of coffee. Smiling at something on the screen. That did it. "Who are you texting?" I asked. She didn't even look up. Work. Too fast. Too automatic. Really? I said. That's when she looked at me, already annoyed. "What is your problem lately?" There it was again. Deflection. I felt my chest tighten, but I pushed through it. "I saw you yesterday," I said. That got her attention. She froze for a second. Just a second, but I caught it. Then her face shifted. Not guilt. Not fear. Irritation. "Saw me where?" she asked, crossing her arms. "At the cafe," I said. "With him." Silence. For a moment, I thought maybe she'd finally drop the act. Just admit it. She didn't. "Oh my God," she exhaled, like I'd just accused her of something ridiculous. "You followed me?" I blinked. "That's what you're taking from this?" "That's insane," she shot back. "Do you hear yourself right now?" I could feel the conversation slipping already, like she was trying to flip the entire thing upside down. "I saw you kiss him," I said, more firmly this time. Another pause. And then, she shrugged. "Okay," she said. And? I swear that word hit harder than anything else. And? I repeated, not even sure I heard her right. "It didn't mean anything," she said, like she was explaining something obvious. "You're blowing this way out of proportion." I just stared at her. "You don't accidentally kiss someone like that," I said. She rolled her eyes. "It was one moment. People mess up. One moment." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. The texts. The calls. The lying. That's all one moment too. Her expression hardened. "I didn't lie," she said flatly. I actually felt something in me snap a little at that. "You told me you were working," I said. "You told me you were with friends. You told me I was imagining things." "And?" she shot back again. What was I supposed to say? "Hey, I met someone and I needed space." You would have freaked out. I'm freaking out now. I raised my voice without meaning to. "Exactly," she said, like she'd just proven a point. There it was. No apology. No real explanation. Just justification. Like the problem wasn't what she did. It was how I reacted to it. And standing there, looking at her, I realized something that hit almost as hard as seeing that kiss. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. And somehow, she still expected me to be the one in the wrong. After that, the conversation just died. Not in a dramatic, screaming way. No doors slammed. No big final line. It just collapsed under its own weight. She grabbed her bag, said she was late, and walked out like we just argued about groceries or something stupid. And I just stood there. In our kitchen. Trying to understand how a marriage can crack open like that in under 20 minutes. I didn't go to work that day. I sat on the couch for hours, staring at the same spot on the wall. My phone buzzed a few times, messages from coworkers, a missed call, but I ignored everything. My brain kept bouncing between two extremes. This isn't real. And this has been real for a long time. Around noon, I did something I probably should have done earlier. I checked our shared phone plan. We never hid that stuff from each other before, so I still had access. And yeah, there it was. One number, repeated over and over. Calls late at night. Texts all throughout the day. Way more than a few weeks. I scrolled back as far as I could. At least 3 months. Maybe more. So that was another lie. At that point, it wasn't even surprising anymore. It was almost expected. Like every new piece of information just confirmed what I already knew, she wasn't just lying, she was good at it. That realization messed with me more than anything. Because it made me question everything before this. All the times she reassured me. All the times she told me I was overthinking. All the moments I doubted myself instead of her. I got up, went into the bedroom, and looked around. Our stuff. Our photos. Trips we took. Smiling faces frozen in time that suddenly felt fake. I picked up one picture from a vacation last year. We looked happy. Actually happy. And maybe we were. Or maybe I just didn't see what was already starting. That's the thing that really gets you, it's not just the present that breaks. It's the past too. Because now you don't know which memories were real and which ones were just convenient illusions. By the time she got home that evening, I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the explosive way. It was something quieter. Heavier. Like everything inside me had just settled into place in the worst possible way. And I knew the next conversation we had wasn't going to be about if this was happening. It was going to be about what the hell I do with it. When she came home that evening, I could tell immediately she knew things had shifted. Not because I said anything, but because I didn't. No questions. No tension in the air. No, talk it out. I was just sitting there, calm in a way that probably felt unfamiliar to her. She hesitated a second in the doorway. Are you seriously not going to say anything? She asked. I looked at her. I already did. She sighed, dropping her bag. So what, you're just going to sulk now? That word hit me weird. Sulk. Like I was a kid pouting over nothing. I checked the phone records, I said. That got her attention again. Not shock, just irritation. Wow, she muttered. You're really going all in on this. All in? I repeated. You've been talking to him for at least 3 months. She didn't deny it. Didn't even try this time. Instead, she walked past me into the kitchen, opened the fridge like we were mid-argument about something trivial. It wasn't that serious at first, she said. I followed her in. And now? She paused, then shrugged. I don't know. That answer felt honest. And somehow that made it worse. Do you love him? I asked. She leaned against the counter, thinking, not scrambling for a lie this time, just considering it. I don't know, she repeated. I let out a slow breath. Do you love me? That one took longer. Not because it was hard to answer, because she was deciding how to answer. I care about you, she said finally. I actually smiled a little at that. Not because it was sweet, but because it was so far from what I needed to hear. That's not what I asked. She looked away. I don't think it's the same as before. There it was. Clean. Simple. Final. No yelling. No drama. Just the quiet confirmation that whatever we had, wasn't there anymore. I sat down at the table, suddenly feeling more tired than I have in years. So what's your plan? I asked. You just keep seeing him and come home to me. She frowned. I didn't say that. Then say something, I replied. Because right now, it sounds like you want both. That's not fair, she said quickly. I looked at her. Neither is what you've been doing. Silence again. But this time, it felt different. Not tense. Just empty. Like we were both standing in the remains of something that had already collapsed, and neither of us knew if it was even worth rebuilding. And for the first time since all of this started, a thought came into my head that didn't feel like panic or anger. It felt clear. Maybe I don't stay. That thought, maybe I don't stay, didn't hit like a dramatic realization. It was quieter than that. Almost relieving. Which scared me a little, honestly. Because for months I'd been trying to hold things together without even realizing it. Making excuses. Ignoring red flags. Convincing myself that what we had was still there if I just didn't look too closely. And now. Now that everything was out in the open. I didn't feel the urge to fight for it the way I thought I would. I felt tired. She was still standing in the kitchen, arms crossed, watching me like she was waiting for me to say something dramatic again. I didn't. I think you should stay somewhere else for a few days, I said. Her eyebrows went up. Seriously? Yeah. So you're kicking me out now? She asked, already getting defensive. I'm asking for space, I replied. From this. I gestured vaguely between us. She let out a short laugh. Wow. So that's it? For years and you're just done? That almost pulled me back in, the tone, the implication that I was the one giving up. But I caught it this time. I'm not the one who stepped out of the marriage, I said calmly. She rolled her eyes again, but there was less bite in it now. You're being dramatic. No, I said. I'm being clear. That seemed to land differently. She looked at me for a second, like she was trying to figure out if I was bluffing. I wasn't. Fine, she said finally. I'll go to a friend's place. Of course. Not his place. Not officially, anyway. Take whatever you need, I said. She didn't move right away. Just stood there, shifting her weight slightly, like she was waiting for me to stop her. To say, no, don't go, let's fix this. I didn't. After a minute, she turned and went into the bedroom. I heard drawers opening, closet doors sliding. Normal sounds that suddenly felt final. I stayed at the kitchen table. Didn't follow her. Didn't help. About 20 minutes later, she came back out with a bag. Text me when you've decided what you want, she said. That phrasing stuck. Like this was still some kind of mutual decision. I nodded once. Okay. She lingered for a second. Then left. The door closed behind her, and just like that, the apartment felt completely different. Quieter. Not peaceful. Not yet. But, honest, maybe. I sat there for a long time after she left, just listening to the silence. And for the first time in months, I wasn't wondering what she was doing, who she was talking to, or what she was hiding. I already knew. And weirdly enough, that made it easier to breathe. The first night alone felt wrong in a way I didn't expect. Not painful exactly. Just unfamiliar. I kept catching myself listening for things that weren't there, her footsteps in the hallway, her phone buzzing, the bathroom light clicking on at weird hours. It's crazy how quickly your brain gets used to someone else's presence, even when things are falling apart. Around 2 a.m., I finally checked my phone. No messages from her. Not even the fake, "Are you okay?" kind. Just silence. That should have felt freeing. Instead, it felt like confirmation that I was already being replaced in real time. The next morning, I went to work. First time in days. Everyone acted normal, which was honestly the weirdest part. A coworker joked about deadlines. Someone asked me about weekend plans. I nodded and smiled like I belonged in that world. Inside, I didn't. Because my mind kept going back to one question I couldn't shake. Was I the last one to know, or just the first one she finally stopped hiding it from? Around lunch, I got a message. Not from her. From an unknown number. We should talk. It's about her. My stomach dropped instantly. I stared at it for a full minute, not moving. Then another message came through. I think you deserve the truth she won't tell you. I didn't respond right away. Because there's a specific kind of fear that hits when you realize the story you've been living in might not even be the full version. I finally typed back. Who is this? The reply came almost immediately. Someone she told you was just a friend. I sat there staring at the message longer than I want to admit. Someone she told you was just a friend. My first instinct was anger. Like, immediate suspicion, some random person trying to stir things up, or worse, mess with me while I'm already down. But the problem was, that phrase wasn't random. She had said that exact thing before. About a guy she met through work events. A colleague. Someone she mentioned casually once or twice when she needed an explanation for being out late. My fingers felt weird as I typed. Who are you? This time the reply didn't come instantly. For a few seconds, I thought maybe it was a joke. Or a scam. Or just someone playing games. Then. I'm the guy she told you not to worry about. My chest tightened. I stood up from my desk and walked outside without thinking, just needing air. My head felt too full, like everything was pressing in at once. I typed again. Why are you contacting me? A few seconds later. Because she's still lying to both of us. That stopped me. Not because it was shocking, because it fit. Too well. Too cleanly. Another message came right after. She told me she was separating from you. I actually laughed at that. Not because it was funny, but because of how familiar it sounded. Of course she had a version of this for him too. I leaned against the wall outside, trying to steady myself. So what do you want from me? I finally asked. There was a pause before the reply. Longer this time. Then. I want you to know the timeline doesn't match what she told you. My stomach dropped again. He followed it up. She didn't meet me after things got bad between you two. Another pause. Then the last message in that thread. She started seeing me before she ever told you she was unhappy. I just stood there, phone in my hand, feeling something shift inside me again. Because that changed everything. Not just betrayal. But intention. And I suddenly realized I wasn't reacting to a recent affair. I was reacting to something that had been unfolding while I still thought my marriage was intact. I finally replied. How long have you been with her? The response came slower this time. Like he was choosing his words carefully. About 5 months. Then another message immediately after. But she told me you two were basically done already. I felt a laugh build in my throat again, but it didn't come out. 5 months. That didn't line up with a few weeks. It didn't line up with anything she had said. My phone buzzed again. I didn't know about you at first. Then. She made it sound like you were separated. I closed my eyes for a second. Because now there were two possibilities sitting in front of me. Either he was lying. Or she had been running two completely different narratives for months. And honestly, the second one felt more believable. I finally replied. Why are you telling me this now? There was a pause. Then. Because she told me last night that she was going to end things properly with you. My stomach dropped. Last night. That would have been after she left my apartment. After she told me to text her when I decide what I want. I asked. Did she say how? His reply came almost instantly. She said you'd understand. I stared at that sentence for a long time. Because I didn't understand. Not even close. And for the first time since all of this started, I felt something colder than anger settle in. Not heartbreak. Not shock. But the realization that I might still be missing a piece of the story big enough to change how this all ends. I didn't go back inside right away. I just stood there outside work, phone still in my hand, rereading that last message like it might change if I looked at it long enough. She said you'd understand. That phrase kept looping in my head all the way home. When I finally got back to the apartment, it felt different again, but not empty this time. More like, occupied, even though no one was there. I noticed her keys weren't on the counter anymore. Which meant she'd either taken them, or been back. That thought made my stomach tighten. I checked the bedroom first. Half her things were gone. Not everything. Not clean enough to be a full move-out. More like someone packing in stages. Rushed. Emotional. Unfinished. Then I saw it. Her charger still plugged in. Her jacket still on the chair. Like she'd been here recently, but not long enough to settle. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Don't let her rewrite it again. And then. I can meet you. Tonight. I stared at that message for a while. Because I realized I had two problems now. One was her. The other was the fact that I was starting to trust a stranger's version of events more than my own wife's. Still. I typed back. Where? The reply came fast. The cafe. Same place. Of course it was. I almost laughed at that. The same spot where everything had first snapped into focus. I got there early. Sat in my car for 10 minutes just watching people come and go, trying to convince myself I wasn't walking into something worse. Then I saw him. Not just a text thread anymore. A real person. Early 30s, maybe. Nervous energy. Kept looking around like he wasn't sure he should actually be there. He spotted me and hesitated before walking over. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then he said, quietly. So, you're him. I nodded once. Yeah. He sat down across from me. And the first thing he said wasn't an apology. Wasn't anger. It was. I think she's still lying to both of us. And I just sat there, staring at him, realizing this wasn't going to be a simple confrontation. It was going to be something messy. And then he slid his phone across the table. The timeline doesn't end where you think it does.